I see is a reflection of yourself. You see, I had an interesting scenario about life occur. And it's quite simple when you think about it. But the definition and what we actually find that it means is very interesting. So let me tell you about it. I made some vanilla sliced gelatin candies the other day. And they're absolutely delicious. They set quite well. But you see, me being me, I tried to make them look fancy, right? So I bought some writing gel and some edible gold leaf, and I placed the writing gel on the bottom and the gelatin sweet I placed on top, and then I put gold leaf around, and it looked absolutely stunning, and it tasted absolutely stunning. There's no issue whatsoever. And on its own, it tasted absolutely amazing, and with the extras, just as fine. It was more about presentation. You see, and this got me thinking, because I kept some because I made way too many. And I know, a period of time passed, and I was always eating, some of it, but never with any of the fancy stuff, because I always thought that, I'll keep some of this for if someone comes over, or I give it to someone, because, it's a nice little sweet, it's not fattening or anything like that, so I did that. But then, over time, I tried a piece that had the writing gel on it, and it tasted very bitter. I thought to myself, okay, that's interesting. What is that? Did it go foul? Did it go wrong? So I cut away, and I was trying to figure out what it was, so I cut away the writing gel. I thought, well, maybe it's the writing gel. So I cut away that, and I tried it again, and the taste had gone. I tried a piece of the cutaway with it on, and there it was. It tasted absolutely bitter. So obviously the conclusion was the writing gel had a reaction with the gelatin. And there's your scientific explanation. And it did. It didn't affect what was on the inside, but it certainly had a reaction to what was the outside. What that chemical reaction is, well, maybe a food scientist can tell you the exact chemical reaction, but going bitter is probably the easiest term. But it got me thinking. Right? So, the idea behind me having the sweets that wasn't presentable, I would eat the ones that, don't look the nicest or didn't come out the best. Keeping the more beautiful ones for other people. I think you can start to see where I'm going with this. That the ones that didn't have all the fancy stuff tasted the best from start to finish. There were never a chance of going bitter. But that's the ones that I fed myself. The ones that I supplied to other people, I never ate them, so I wasn't aware, because I was always continuing to have the candies or the sweets that I gave myself. So I wasn't to realize. This in itself is something where you can look deep and say, well, what we feed ourselves, what information we tell ourselves about ourselves can be uplifting. And the things you give other people are, beautiful shining lights and this sort of stuff. But if you don't take care of it, it'll turn bitter. It'll turn foul. But that information or that stuff yourself, when you think about it, is the bitterness. So another metaphor is, another just in general, things like It's not really a metaphor, I would say. It's more a way of life in terms of many things. One of them is that when you cut away a little bit and it's fine, it's like things are only skin deep. You've always got more underneath. And it's superficial in those sort of contexts. And the way I see it, which hits home quite a lot, is that you have all these outside influences, external entities and thoughts and businesses, and do this and do that type technologies and infrastructure. Buy this thing, buy that thing, sell this thing. This is the way you have to live, and all of this is good, and you want to buy a Rolls Royce and live fancy lifestyles and live beautiful things and have beautiful things. And that type of lifestyle is okay, every now and then. So think of it back to the sweet, where the ones without it never went foul, never went bitter. They always were the same, but they were always beautiful. And if you add a bit of glitz and glam to that every now and then and eat it straight away, it'll never go foul. It'll always stay beautiful, but it's like a little boost, an energy boost of love or sweetness. But it's beautiful because when you go back to the original, you're beautiful, and it tastes so sweet, just like the gelatin candy. So when you have all of this outside influence controlling you, a little bit here and there is good. If it spoils you, it's something you want to do. But think of it as also the media, not just a high-end lifestyle, glitz and glam that you live every day. But if you leave it unattended, or if you leave unhealed, or untalked about, you have media, schools, dictation. You can throw all of this category into this location, and it covers all of that. And if left unchecked or unattended or not overseen in a way that isn't still operating the way that it needs to be, it can eat you alive. It can spoil you, make you bitter. Just like the candy. But just like the candy, things are only skin deep. Because that beauty resides underneath all of that filtration. You cut a little bit of away figuratively. And it's like cutting that bitterness, that spoiled of all of that control that is placed upon you. And it's not about changing who you are, because who you are on the inside is beautiful. Just like the gelatin candy. Never spoils, never changes. You are always beautiful, always sweet. It is the outside influences and the external thoughts that are not your own, that are dictating who you are and who you're supposed to be. These are what is corrupting and poisoning you. And just like the candy, the ones that were left longer had the most. Were they still inside? Yes. They were still beautiful inside, but there was less of them. You could take that as age. Maybe it's the way you see it. Maybe it's that they're starting to not believe anymore. You lose faith or heart. See it as the level of your belief and heart. It's still there. It's just dwindling because it's been left unattended for so long. So you attend to it. But you see, if you don't fix it, we'll all become bitter. Everyone becomes bitter. Things do. You change the way that you react and you see, because you might acknowledge it. You might know it. There's a little flame. But there's too much. But you see, when we realize we are that unglitz and glamour candy. We are just straight served up. This is who I am. That is beautiful. When you look in the heart, that is beautiful. All of these things are exactly how we need to be. We've forgotten who we are, and in place of the things that really make us valuable, which is the original design. No externals, no extras, no bling. Not letting the media control you. We think one thing is the same as the other, but it is not. You can appreciate the good things just like the candy. It gives you confidence and makes you boost. But you see, when you let everything do the same thing, and then you let it unattended, you don't take care of your inner self, you can be spoiled and become bitter. It's just a generalization, but you see, the meaning behind it is just like that. It's just like the candy. So, when we sit down and look at ourselves, look at the things that mean the most importance to us, the things that give us love, cherishment, and care for it, and doing the same for ourselves, our inner selves, us, the real people. We forget to love ourselves. We don't give ourselves enough love. And when we give ourselves enough love, and other people as well, we don't let those external things ruin our life or judge us or take from us. We can have it. It's just how you see it. You take care of it, you manage it. I think there is somewhat of a spiritual laziness, you could call it. That's not a disrespect. I really think it had become a spiritual laziness, where people just couldn't be bothered anymore. And they let things change. And I think that was a form of manipulation. It could be from the control factor. You know, you can go deeper into it. But I think it is up to us to actually make that connection between what is something so simple and meaningful, like a gelatin sweet, can have such a profound effect on how we see ourselves and at what is controlling us. How we look at the world can be seen when we look in the right places. And when we have that openness to find answers, and that can really change your mind and move you into different directions. It's not about having one or two gluttonous moments. It's about enjoying them, respecting you and the others around you. Doing it with love and a smile. It makes a magnificent difference to the earth around you. The fun you have with people. How it radiates light. I think a lot of people see spirituality as something that is difficult because they have to meditate every day and it becomes a challenge and it's hard and it's boring, and that's the way they see it. But have you ever thought that maybe that's the way they want you to see it? And it really isn't that difficult. They just want to think it is. You offer your time and your love, and if you can't do it, that is okay. You just give it that respect. And if you don't do it the next day, that is okay too. Just know that you will do it. Maybe you just didn't have the time or too busy, or you wasn't feeling it. You will, but don't ignore it. Because just like the candy, if you ignore it, then external sources can make you bitter. But if you take care of that inside, you will always be beautiful and taste wonderful, just like the candy. And it is an amazing thing that no matter when you're spiritual or when you're trying to affect something, you can be affected by the same situation. Good can turn foul, foul can turn good. There is always yin and yang in everything. And something as simple as a sweet gelatin candy can have such a profound and prophetic thought. Love to all.